In this video, we're going to be making this beautiful party dress together. It has side flare and a beautiful bow at the back. If this is something you're interested in, then you want to keep watching. Hi everybody, it's Designs by Simi and you're welcome back to my channel. So without further ado, let's dive in. So I'm going to be drafting my front and my back pattern together. Now for my back pattern, I'm marking 1 inch, which will be for my zipper allowance, and I'm just connecting all of the points that I made, all the 1 inch points, to form a straight line. So that is going to be my zipper allowance, and I just indicated that. Now we're going to be marking a straight line, which is going to serve our starting point and also our shoulder line. Now this is the measurement I'll be using on the screen here. This is standard measurement for a 7-year-old. Now for my armhole, I came down from the shoulder line by 5.5 inches, and then I marked that into a straight line as well. My shoulder to waist measurement is 11.5 inches, so I measured that as well from the shoulder line, and I connected the point into a straight line. So I also made sure to indicate my armhole line and my waistline so we don't get confused. Now for my hip line, I just came down to somewhere around 17 inches from the shoulder line, and I marked as well. The full length of this dress is going to be 35 inches. I think I later reduced it to 33 inches because my fabric was not enough. So you can actually use any length you want, but I marked from the shoulder line and I connected my points to form a straight line. This line is my center front line, and I'm going to start taking my measurements from there. Half of my shoulder measurement is 5.5 inches, and I added ½ inch for seam allowance. I marked the same thing on my armhole line and I connected both points together. Now I came down by ½ inch for my shoulder slope, and I marked 2.25 inches for my neck width, and I'll be connecting my shoulder slope to my neck width right now. I'll measure what I have left on this line, and I'm going to be dividing it into 2. Then from that point, I came in by ½ inch. Quarter of the chest measurement is 6.5, so I marked that and I added 1 inch for seam allowance. Now I'll be connecting from my shoulder slope to that ½ inch I came by to quarter of my chest measurement. Now quarter of my waist, I marked it and I added 1 inch for seam allowance. I did the same thing for my hip, quarter of my hip plus 1 inch for seam allowance. Now I am going to be connecting all of these points together with my ruler. I marked 1 inch for the neck depth of my back neckline, and I made sure to extend the back neckline into my zipper allowance. Now I'm going to be coming down from the waist by 1.5 inch. This is where I want my side flare to start from, and at the center front line I came in by 2 inches. Now I'll make sure I mark 2 inches all the way up until my hip line. Then I'll be making a slight curve to meet that 1.5 inches line that I took below my waistline. So I made the straight line with my ruler, and I used the curve part of my ruler to form the curve. You can also make use of your free hand if you want, just to get that shape. Now make sure to extend my curve into the seam allowance. That's because the side flare pattern won't be having any side seam allowance. Now I marked 1 inch at the hem line. I marked about 4 of it, and I am going to be connecting them into a straight line. This is just to get my slash and spread lines for my side flare. Sure to label it 1 2 3 4, just so I don't get confused when I am placing it on my fabric. And that line, that hip line right there, is going to serve as my guideline so I don't make any mistake. Like I said, we don't need any side seam allowance for this side flare because it's going to be cut on fold. Now I'll be cutting out my pattern. Remember, we drafted the front and the back pattern together, so I'm going to be cutting out the back pattern first. I'll use it to cut on my fabric, then afterwards I'll be retrimming and I'll be cutting out my front fabric. If this is your first time watching my video or coming across my channel, or even if you're a regular viewer and you've not yet subscribed, kindly click on the subscribe button and also click on the notification icon so you get to know anytime I drop a new video. And if you've been getting value from this video so far, then why not click on the like button and drop a comment in the comment section. This really helps encourage me to upload more videos like this. We're going to be adding 0.5 inch to that part that we cut out, both on the main pattern piece and the side flare that we're cutting. So I indicated that on my pattern paper. Now I'm going to be placing my pattern on my folded fabric and I'm going to be cutting out. Remember, this is the back pattern that I'm cutting out first, and remember to add the 0.5 inch allowance where I indicated, because this is what we're going to use to join the main body of the dress to the side flare. Side flare pattern, remember I already numbered it from 1 to 5, so I'll just be separating it and placing it on my full flare that I already cut out. I'll be separating my pattern from my fabric now, and this is my front pattern actually. You can see it was cut on fold. This is my neckline. Now I'll be turning my neckline with the bias tape, and this is what it looks like. Now, because this fabric is very thick, you might find it very difficult when you're turning over your bias tape. So what I did was I trimmed out about 0.25 inch from my seam allowance on the main fabric, not on the bias tape, because this fabric is quite thick. So after trimming it out, I found it easier to turn my bias tape, and after turning, this is what it looks like. I'm going to be trimming off the excess. I'll do the same thing to the back neckline as well, and this is what we have. Placing my back piece on my front piece, right sides facing each other, I'll go ahead and pin down my shoulder seam allowance, and I'll be stitching down with 1/2 inch. After stitching, this is what I have. Now I'll be joining the side seam. Remember, our seam allowance is 1 inch, so I marked my 1 inch on both sides. Join my side flare to the main piece, and remember, I already opened it out, so now we have 2 half circles. And remember, I told you to notch the center point. Now the first thing you do is make sure you match up the hem parts together. Make sure the hems are matching, and right sides facing each other as usual. Please don't get confused. You really need to take your time when you're doing this. So make sure the right sides are facing each other, make sure the hems are matching, and make sure you pin all the way. Now when you get to the side seam, you're going to match up the side seam with the center point that you notched earlier. If you have any excess, you can either pleat it or you ease it into the side. For this pattern, I did not have any excess, and this is exactly what I want, because I didn't want any gathers, because this fabric is already bulky on its own. So after pinning that center point line to the side seam, I went over to the other side and I started pinning from the hemline as well, all the way to the side seam. I hope you get what I'm saying. After pinning, I went ahead to join with 1/2 inch allowance that I left. Then after sewing, I noticed the side seam was kind of bulky, and this is due to the nature of the fabric. So I had to loosen that part out a bit with my seam ripper. After loosening it out a bit, I went ahead to trim down my side seam allowance to about 0.5 inch. I trimmed it down. I also make sure to trim out that part as well. Then I opened up my side seam and I stitched all over again, and after that you can see it's looking very flat and clean now. I'll go ahead and finish up my zip. I cut out the leftover and I'm going to be inserting the ends into my at the back of my zipper allowance just like this, and I'll be stitching it down. And after doing that, this is what it looks like. Now I'm going to be measuring what I have on my armhole. I'm going to be fixing a cap sleeve on this dress. I have 14 inches on my armhole, but I don't want the cap sleeve to go all the way, so I'm going to be using less than that for my cap sleeve. I hope you get it. Now for my cap sleeve, I want the length to be 3 inches. You can actually decide to use whatever length you want. I want 3 inches, so I added half inch for joining allowance at the shoulder and quarter inch to turn with my bias, so I marked 3.75 inches. Now afterwards, I marked 6 inches on the hem, and I'm going to be connecting it to the folded parts just like this. Now at this part, I came up by 0.5 inch, and I'm just going to be making a slight curve to meet Decided to add a belt to my bow, so I have 30 inches here, and on fold that's 15 inches. You can actually decide to use whatever length you want. I'm just going to be marking this. Now the length is about 6.5 inches, so that's 6.5 inches by 30 inches. This is what it looks like. The dress looks absolutely stunning. Thank you so much for watching this video. I really hope you enjoyed it, and if you did, don't forget to subscribe to my channel and like this video, and also drop a comment so I know you really enjoyed it. Till I come your way again. Bye.